Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. I've got a very, very important episode here for you today. We're talking about a fantasy football cheat sheet. I've created something that's practical, that's universal, that everybody can use, that's going to give you a significant advantage in fantasy football 2020 and beyond. This is the future, I'm telling you. So typically when you see a fantasy football cheat sheet, what you typically see is a bunch of rankings that are copied and pasted from last year, very generic. I've taken the time to engineer a cheat sheet and a practical way to draft that's going to give you a competitive advantage over the competition. Very important. I've also linked an article below on all the details of this fantasy football cheat sheet so you can dive in deeper into how it works. Now I'm going to pull it up here on the screen for you guys. I want you to take a look at this, okay? Now I've got an importance value here on the right. That tells you how important drafting that particular round is and that particular position, okay? So as you can see, guys, in rounds 1 to 3, you want to focus on getting and securing those running backs, okay? So I'm going to dive right into this cheat sheet here with you so you guys can get that really practical advantage. And I'm telling you, this is going to help you guys crush the competition and give you a massive advantage over the competition. Now also, if you guys want to dive deeper, I also have the 16-round draft solution, the first ever video training that's going to help you guys get a massive advantage over the competition. Head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com, and I release that every year around the NFL draft. You can pre-order it around there, but it's also available up until the regular season, whatever that day is for that season for the NFL. All right, so let's dive into this cheat sheet. Running backs, 1 to 3 rounds 1 to 3, you want to secure those running backs. Understand, guys, it is a very scarce position at the running back position. You want to secure running backs that are going to give you a ton of volume. And as you see every single year, more and more, coaches keep implementing a running back by committee. And the last thing you need is your main running back getting hoarded at the goal line or having receptions taken away. So rounds 1 to 3 on this cheat sheet, you want to really focus on getting running backs. Now, this is not really a rule of thumb, but it's a guideline. Understand, guys, this fantasy football cheat sheet is a guideline to help you guys dominate your leagues. Now, 1 to 3, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, you may want to get a quarterback, an ace quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round because you know those positions are going to be taken, right? That quarterback position is going to be taken. So you want to be able to think common sense as I'm telling you this, okay? This is a guideline. So typically in rounds 3 to 5, I want to get myself an ace wide receiver and anchor my team with a quarterback. But ideally, I start targeting receivers in and around 3 to round 5. So after I've secured my running backs, I start looking for an ace wide receiver. And believe me, I've been doing fantasy football for a very long time. You can get a ton of depth at the wide receiver position. But here's a tip, you gotta aim high on the depth chart when you do that. By aiming high on the depth chart, you're gonna be able to get a solid wide receiver 1 that's gonna get a ton of volume on a team you may not be as excited about. But here's what people do, guys, and it's very, very, it's a downfall for a lot of people, and people don't know this, is that they will actually draft a wide receiver 2 on many teams because they like the team or they like the quarterback or whatever it may be. And they may draft a wide receiver 2 while you could be hoarding a wide receiver 1 in rounds 3 to 8, right? Hoard them, those wide receiver 1s, okay? Later in the draft. So again, wide receivers, I start looking at them in around 3 to 5. Quarterbacks, again, a lot of people pay high on a quarterback and they do that predicated on the previous year. So if they see a quarterback that has this amazing breakout year, what they'll end up doing is they end up drafting that quarterback in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round, investing a high pick on him because he did well last year. I start looking at quarterbacks in and around 5 to round 7. Again, there's variance here. This cheat sheet is a guideline. The reason I do that is I try not to invest too early, but I invest early enough that I anchor my team with an ace quarterback. Here's the deal with quarterbacks. With quarterbacks, you can see a more of a consistent timeline. It's not as volatile as other positions in regards to their performance and statistics. You can see that quarterback's done well for X amount of years. You can see the weapons around him. You can see the O-line. You can see how well they've done. Then you can anchor your team with a solid quarterback and then back them up with a wild card upside quarterback later on in the draft, okay? So again, quarterbacks, start looking at them, start around 4 to 7, 5 to 7. I'm starting to anchor my team with an ace quarterback. Tight ends. I always wait on tight ends. And again, the guideline here, round 7 and 9, I get my first tight end. Maybe a little earlier, depending on who's available. With tight ends, the rule is as long as I get 10 points out of my tight end, I'm happy because I'm loaded up on running backs, wide receivers, and my quarterback solid. I'm good. But a tight end, here's the deal. There's always typically 3 to 4, maybe 5 tight ends that perform on a pretty optimal level where they're putting up low-end wide receiver 1 numbers, maybe high-end wide receiver 2 numbers. And those top 3 tight ends are always typically drafted in the first 2 or 3 rounds, sometimes in the first round. Going back a couple years ago, Gronkowski was drafted in the first round while I was acquiring George Kittle in the 10th round. So it's very, very important, guys. You wait on tight end. And again, similar type of deal. You grab that tight end round 7 or 8, and then what ends up happening is that you can get a wild card tight end a little bit later, a rookie or someone in a good position that could break out and give you tight end 1 numbers, believe it or not, and you didn't invest that pick. Again, I did this years ago. I got George Kittle in the 10th round while people were investing into Gronkowski in the first round, and George Kittle outperformed Gronkowski. This can happen, and it happens to me many times. It's happened many times. I've won championships by waiting on tight ends. Never invest early. Very important. Now, round 7 and 9, 9 to 12. Again, there's a little bit of overlap here in the rounds, but you want depth at your wide receiver running backs. This is when you start loading up at the skilled positions. And here's the deal. A lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, man, I'm like, I don't know what to do. The casual fan has no idea what's going on. Who do I draft? What's this guy's name? What do I do? If you got my 60-round draft solution, if you follow my stuff and you're listening to this channel, by the way, please leave a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. You guys are going to have a competitive advantage significantly, right? So what I suggest to you is this is where you're loading up on those solid rookie running backs, rookie wide receivers. This is where you start balancing your roster with those upside and that risk. This is where you start betting, taking some risk. You've got some more secure picks in the early rounds. Not that anything is secure in fantasy anyway, because I see it all the time. Early round picks fall off. Like I said, that Gronkowski Kittle example, right, years ago. So what you want to do here is load up at those skill positions here in and around 7 to 9 to around 10. Load up. And then you're going to start seeing defenses fly off the board. And one of the main reasons defenses fly off the board is because people don't know how to add depth. In around 7 and 9, you're going to see a defense come off because, again, they don't know who these players are at this position. That's where you can capitalize and load up. And if you study depth charts and you look at the skill and you've looked at the college players and you listen to this channel, right, and if you've got the lion mentality, you're going to be light years ahead and you're going to be locked and loaded at every single position, okay? Now, again, round 9 to 11, maybe secure a defense. Try to aim for a top 10. Around 11 to 13, try to get yourself a backup tight end with some upside, maybe a rookie that's in a good position. And then 11 to 16, load up on depth, wild card. Sometimes shoot some darts, blind darts or whatever. Just close your eyes and aim. But there is a little bit of strategy to it. I like to take some, potential upside grand slam, swing or miss picks here in the later rounds. So let's just say I see this amazing rookie coming. He looked great in college. He's a wide receiver on his team that I could see could emerge on his roster. I may scoop him up in the later rounds, okay? This is where you really want to gamble, take some risks, but also in rounds 11 to 16, you want to also be making sure that you're covered at every position. So if you have one quarterback in a 2-quarterback league and there's a couple good quarterback still available, why not grab that other quarterback? Back yourself up, right? Make sure you have 2 tight ends in a one tight end league. Make sure you have 5 running backs in a 2 running back league. Make sure you have 6 wide receivers in a 3-quarterback league. Always have a backup plan for a backup plan, and then a backup plan and a backup plan for that. I'm telling you guys, this is very, very important. And again, in the early rounds, you want to attack and get those scarce positions, okay? Those running backs that have minimal committees and those running backs that are going to get a ton of volume, okay? So I'm really excited, guys. This is a very, very practical fantasy football cheat sheet. I highly recommend you read the article that's linked below. This is a cheat sheet and a strategy that could be useful for many, many, many years to come. Again, it's a very practical. I've been using this strategy for years and won a lot of championships and some experts leagues. It is a very practical, it is very efficient, and it's going to balance your roster so that you have a balanced roster with a lot of depth and you're capitalizing on positions that are important and when you need them, okay? Use the fantasy football cheat sheet to your advantage. It's a competitive edge. Share it with some of your friends that are not necessarily in your league, but share it. I really appreciate the share, the thumbs up, and comment below if you have any questions on how this cheat sheet works. But again, I wanted to go and create something that goes above and beyond just copy and paste rankings from last year. Hey, these guys finished on top last year, let's draft them again. That's not the way I run things. It's not the way my mentality is, because we know every single year the mainstream is wrong and they're doing it just to fill a quota and get you guys this garbage that really doesn't really help you, okay? This will help you, okay? And also check out thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. Get your Lion shirts. I've got the Cuddy System, product training, video training, and of course my videos on YouTube, my podcast, a ton of content, how-tos in my Fantasy Football 101 section. Everything you need at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com, your complete solution to dominate fantasy football moving forward. Okay, guys? Thanks for being here. Smash the thumbs up, and hopefully this fantasy football cheat sheet will give you a competitive advantage. I am confident that it will. I will see you guys in the next video.